and welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
And I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
Woo-hoo!
So we are back on schedule. We were last episode and we're trying to do good, although I didn't.
I worked my ass off last night to be ready.
Oh, I woke up and thought of mine. Well, I kind of thought about it. I was thinking about a few last night, but I couldn't decide.
Yeah.
And so I
totally get it, because that's what happened here. I had 3 in mind that I probably will still do, but I just kept coming back to this one. It kept like coming to the forefront of my head. And it's exactly what happened. I was looking at this one and I was like, okay, that one I think is what I'm going to do. But then I was just looking around and then I found another and I was like, dang it. And I kept like, I'm going to do this one. But every time I got ready to start working on it, I was just like, meh.
Yeah, that's me with the
crafts. Just wasn't hitting it right.
I have a hard time with the crafts with that, not so much the crime. Once I get into the crime, then But I'm doing the craft today.
The craft does come. It really does come a little bit harder because a lot of it, it's really just dates, and
I know
most of the stuff is exactly how it's always been.
Yeah,
it's very hard because it does not divert from what it was originally.
Yeah.
So it's just like, and then that was it, because that's exactly what it is today.
Yeah.
As it was in 1600s China and Japan of my last origami episode.
Yeah, and that's
It's
how a
the
lot
same.
of the crafts are going to be. But it's at least you know what to expect. So
And the thing is, too, is I get it. It's not like the most. It's just, it's cool because a lot of the crafts that, you and I are sharing are the ones that we know that we're doing.
or
The
that I've
ones I
done.
did in the beginning. Like, I've made paper before and I ruined my mom's blender almost. I think I mentioned that with my dad.
yeah,
And it came out amazing and really ugly. It was all gray because recycled paper's ugly. and so a lot of these, it's like I haven't made hand colored textiles, but you know what? We could.
yeah.
It's a thing that people are doing again. You could literally dye your clothes with onion skin. So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I want to do the eggs with the onion skins. That they always turn out so pretty. Or where you wrap it and you put like leaves or flowers on it, and then you wrap it in like a soaked rag or like a paper towel or whatever, and
with
it
the
leaves
stain.
Yeah, so it's like covered in the coffee or tea or whatever, or the onion juice or whatever, beet juice, and then you lay out all your little flowers and stuff on the egg, and you wrap it in the paper towel and stuff.
That would be
And
so pretty.
we'll talk about that around Easter time when we try.
We will record it.
Yeah,
maybe we'll be ready by next year.
Well, except our problem is all of our chickens lay colored eggs.
Magic.
Well, except for your I am Samanis are going to lay
Beige.
the light, and then Miss Frizzle lays the light. Yeah, beige. So those could be dyed.
But it would be cool because the blue, you could do the offset, so the opposite color spectrum. So covering it up with the leaves and then doing the onion skin. I think the onion skin comes out like a super bright orange. So the orange over the blue would be green, like 70s green, I think.
Yeah.
It's color theory. I'm thinking it's the same thing with my hair right now. I'm waiting for, I'm getting Electric Lizard from Manic Panic. Because I only have a teeny tiny bit of the Brad Mondo X hair color, which # not sponsored, but that is my favorite hair color ever.
Yeah.
It's like $22 for an 8-ounce jar. Which is it's the
so
same.
I would need like 4.
Surprisingly, you think you would, but
oh my gosh,
this formula is seriously the best, and I tell everybody, and I need to shout it out, but it really is amazing. It's my favorite. It smells amazing.
It does. Yeah.
It takes so little. I mean, I have really short hair.
I thought you were gonna say it tastes.
No, it takes so little because it is so creamy. It just keeps blending and going through your hair, and it's just like putting a hair mask on, and I love it. And I will always use it if I can, but he did release a whole bunch of new colors, but I don't think that he has the green I like. That's my favorite color is green, but I'm really thinking before I go home, you want to help me bleach my shave, and then I'm going to do it pink. So last time I did pink and the green, so this time I'm going to do green with pink.
Okay.
Watermelon.
Yeah, we'll totally do it. Avery's going to love it.
Super fun. Yeah, so it's going to be super fun because I'll have the green, and I have just enough pink left that we could make it work.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm going to need to do my hair soon. I did it 3 weeks ago. Yeah, 3 weeks ago. It's about every like 4 to 6 weeks. And I don't use anything fancy. It's just the L'Oreal high color like
I
highlight,
think
high
it's
color.
fancy. It literally looks like blood.
It does.
The concentrated
Because I do
color.
red, and the color is literally
so
just red.
bright. It is so freaking bright. It's like blood.
It's like, yeah, it's like brighter than ketchup.
yeah.
It's like crazy red. So, but I love it. So
It has like a really high lift too. So that's the cool part, is that as long as you're okay with it, every time you do it, you're going to be lifting it, and it will get brighter and brighter.
I know.
Every time.
It's been a long time since I've done it, and so I was like, I'm ready.
We need to get the 40 again.
I know. That's what I've been getting all the time.
Oh, okay.
I only... Yeah.
Oh, you just ran out that one time.
I ran out of
and
40. I had barely
but you
any.
had enough.
Yeah. So we'll do our hair again. So, oh my gosh, we kind of talked about our chickens, but every
a little
week
bit. But
okay, so
there's
I
not
don't
much
remember.
different.
Okay, no, I didn't talk about it last time because I had just put the eggs in the incubator.
Oh, okay.
So I had put 15 chicken eggs in one incubator, and I put 34 quail eggs in my other incubator. And I'm just kind of thinking like maybe 50% of them will hatch. So out of the 15 chicken eggs, 14 are fertile. And out of the 34 quail eggs, 30 are fertile. And I got some really cool video of my quail moving in the egg. It's so well. You saw it.
Yeah. Oh my god, it was magic.
The one looked like it was on jump rope.
Yep, it totally did. And when I told my husband, he made this face. He was like, "What?" And I said, "Well, there's so little compared to the egg that as they're swimming around, their little umbilicus is just floating like
floating
a
with
lot
them.
because the displaced fluid, and so it looks exactly like it's like a chicken lasso or a jump rope.
It looked like he was doing a little
It's
jump
so
rope thing.
cute.
So I'm like, nah, what? So I think I'm gonna sell some.
You need to post that on our Instagram. So
Okay.
everybody can see the chicken lasso.
We're
always talking about them. We might as well show you guys what our chickens look like.
I know. I can show you. I lost my pen. Did I give you my pen?
I don't know. No, this one's mine, but you can use it.
Okay, because we've been
if
trying to be
keep it,
better.
I'm gonna click.
Okay. I've been better about taking notes.
Yeah, at least
I'm
one
like,
of us is.
Talk while I'm writing.
Yes, she is now taking the notes when we always mention that we're going to put something.
This is mine.
Did you break yours? No, because I brought my pen with my phone.
But you didn't have a clicky one.
No, that was the one I showed. That's my good pen. That's one. No. My not clicky pen at home is the good pen.
Oh, I know, because Elaine always clicks her pen. And I'm like, give me the pen.
And I was at my house showing you my new pen. And I was mad because it's pretty quiet, and I was like, "Oh!"
I thought you were gonna bring it over so you could click it while we're talking.
No, I don't want to do that.
Oh. So, anyways, yeah, I'll share the video. I took two. Cool. We'll pick the jump rope one. Yeah,
the other
it's
one's really cute because it's just like woo. It's
yeah,
like swimming.
You can just see it. It's so
like
cool
a tentacle
because you can see the veins. So it's like, as soon as you see veining, it's like
of life. Exactly.
And then you see this tiny little dot like moving around in there. It's so cute. I know
it's very alien, but it's magical. Like,
yeah,
I love it.
I know.
We'll have to post to be able to like visually know that something's happening.
We'll have to post it without audio because I think Jack cleared his mouth. cleared his throat like next to me like 5 times in the video, and then Lily's like, he's so cute. I'm like, I know, right? And then there's my dumbass just like, oh my god, look at it. It's so cute.
It is so cute.
It really is cute. So I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to have a lot of quail and chickens. I guess my chickens and quail are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I just did not expect it.
Take the quail to All Feed and ask them if they want to just sell them to them for 50 cents. Like just to get, and then they can upmarket to like $1.50 or whatever they want.
See.
Wholesale.
Yeah. Yeah,
we need to build up a rapport because we're going to go there a lot.
I know. And then we still need to go to that pet store once Avery gets back. Because, my mom has 2 of my kids still. And it looks like she's going to keep them another few days. So,
fun.
Yeah, I found out who the difficult toddler is. Or the difficult young child is.
Oh, is she the one that's making the mess?
Oh, it's Lily.
Yeah.
It's Lily.
Pascalios.
Yeah, she's the bad one. So... But she's 4, so. And then, Frank.
Nobody.
Every time we record, Frankie's got to come out.
So cute.
So.
All right.
Okay, so I guess I'll do my craft. And it is going to be a mini craft because kind of like you were saying, your origami was kind of short, but it really wasn't. There was a lot. I mean, there was a decent amount.
I think it really is. It's totally fine.
So my craft will be short. It's just basic history bullet points and just description, but it's macrame.
Get the fuck out of here.
What? Were you going to do that?
No, mom literally yesterday was like, you guys should do macrame. And I said, I'm going to tell Amy because I don't do it. And I'm not kidding.
I woke up this morning and I was like, I should do macrame.
That is hilarious. Sorry, I just blew out everybody's eardrums. Okay, go ahead. Yay, that's so funny.
Well, here you go.
I can't.
Here's the macrame you wanted. So now I macrame. So
I do not. Literally, I do not. I never have been able to. Even when I was a little girl, I wanted to do those friendship bracelets. I can barely braid hair.
Oh my gosh.
No, I'm so bad at it.
I'm so okay. I'm okay at it.
Shut up. I'm going to make you post the pictures of the things you made in your house on Instagram. You be quiet. You're on TikTok.
Okay.
Okay,
yeah,
anyway,
you're right. I
go
did
ahead.
put that on TikTok. Okay. Anyway, so I am doing macrame. So for those of you who don't know the joke that Elaine does not knot, macrame is just a bunch of knots.
Pretty ones, though.
Yeah. So macrame is, different than crochet or knitting, but it still can create like really pretty pieces. So you just make a bunch of different knots. And so you use cords, and these could be like, think about yarn or whatever. It could be made from cotton, linen, hemp, leather, like yarn. I think that's literally just cotton up my big giant thing on my over my
feathers.
bed. Yeah. So yeah, it's usually with cotton. And you can use other materials like beads or like charms or whatever, or like shells and stuff to like enhance the whole thing, to make it, just add dimension. So macrame pieces can be really small, like little doilies or whatever, or even bracelets like you were talking about, the friendship bracelets. That's basically macrame. And they could be big, like wall tapestries like I have over my bed, this giant feather thing that I have, or even like as big as like a hammock. So basically, if you can put a bunch of knots together, you can make something that's macrame.
Yeah.
So there are more than 50 types of macrame knots. So,
I believe it.
A lot.
That's
and
crazy.
whenever I've done macrame, sometimes I'm like, go to YouTube. Like, how do I do this? And I have to watch it a few times, and then I get it. Because you can find like diagrams of turn this here and that. I can't do that. I'm a visual learner. Just show me someone doing it, and I got it. So some of the most common knots and most basic, I almost said crochet, macrame are square knot, spiral knot, clove hitch, a lark's head knot, an overhead knot, and it just like goes on and on and on. Like I said, there's over 50, so I could just sit here and name all of them, but I'm not going to. So usually you follow a pattern of different knots, and you follow this pattern and it creates your work. So some are very simple, like the one, I guess I gotta write a note to do the feather thing, because that's just like a cord, and then it's the same knot over and over, but you're cutting the threads to make the feather look. So it's a basic knot. And then there's other stuff like what's in my hallway that's like a bunch of different knots, and
it's twisty and
pretty. So there's a
does the
lot
twist
of different...
form on itself?
Yes, it does.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So that's a spiral knot. And so it's literally the knots, and it'll create a spiral.
It's so cool. It's like a DNA strand.
Yeah, it is. So, obviously we know you can buy patterns of anything anywhere. So you can buy patterns for macrame, which I've done for the one that's in my hallway. That was a purchase pattern. A purchase pattern.
It was a purchase pattern.
I know. And then the one that's over my bed, I just kind of watched or looked at it, and I was like, I know how to do that, and I just did it.
Where's the stick from? The backyard?
Yeah.
Nice.
So I will post a picture of it, I guess, or the TikTok video, little clip of it, of me making it. But yeah, I got the inspiration, I think, from someone else on TikTok. I cannot remember. Yeah, it was from someone else on TikTok, and she sells them. But I was like, I can do that. And that's usually the the go-to phrase that I always say is, I can make that, or I can do that. And so I saw it and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty.
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be specific colors. So I bought the cord, it's called, it's just cotton cord. And
I love the colors.
I just watched a video of her kind of making it. And I was like, I know those knots. And
yay.
so I copied it, and I was like, I need a big stick. And I think she used a big piece of driftwood or something.
Oh, love it.
But we live close enough to the beach, but
not that
like
kind.
not that
It's
kind of
never
beach.
there.
Yeah,
No.
you're not going to find driftwood at our beaches.
No.
So I was like, well, I got a lot of trees. Well, not a whole lot, but I got some sticks in my backyard. And I was just kind of looking
That's
out.
a good stick.
It is. And I saw it, and it was like poking out. And I told Jack, I was like, hey, get me that stick. He's like, why? I'm like, just get me that stick. It's a perfect shape. I knew exactly what I wanted. And so, yeah, I just got a stick from the backyard. And it took me a few days. It took me a long time. But, yeah, I've done planter, like pot hangers, and I've done, this thing here is like supposed to look like macrame, this thing, but it's crochet.
It's great. Okay.
So that's
The
not
little
macrame.
popcorn stitch. Did I get it right?
Yeah. It's a
I got
popcorn
it.
stitch, but it looks like macrame.
It totally does. You fooled me. Is there a knot like that can make that with the little bubbles?
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, so I've done a lot of.
If you didn't tell me, I never would have known.
Well, that is crochet macrame crossover.
I love it.
So anyway, so I know how to macrame, and we all kind of can picture something macrame, like a purse or a pot hanger or whatever. So I decided to, obviously, because I'm doing this topic, I had to look at the origins of macrame, and it can be traced back to the Babylonians and the Assyrians. And there were carvings that depicted knotted pieces, so it can be deduced that like
The Hanging
macrame
Gardens of Babylon.
Yeah.
They made macrame. Fucking smoking weed. Yeah. Making macrame pot hangers.
Yep.
Naked in the garden.
Yep. So yeah, so it can be, it's not like 100% verified, but it's just like, it's just looking at the carving, it's like, that looks like some knots and stuff. And so that's macrame.
I love it.
So in the 13th century, Arabic weavers would tie knots on the edges of towels, shawls, and veils, and this created a decorative edge.
Pretty.
And these Arab weavers called this Macramé, and the word macrame is thought to have come from this word and the Turkish word makrama, which means towel or cloth. So kind of like a combination. You get macrame.
Yeah.
And in northern Africa around that time, these fringes on the towels and shawls would help keep flies off of the camels and the horses.
Oh, I love it.
So,
because it's always dangling.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's always dangling and like
yeah,
and
so the
keeping
flies.
flicking stuff
Yeah,
away.
so instead of their tail or
That
whatever,
is genius.
Yeah. So the Moorish conquest in 711 CE helped spread this craft to Spain and France in the 15th century, and then to Italy in the 16th century. And then it quickly spread through Europe in like the late 17th century. So in that late 17th century in Europe, Queen Mary II taught macrame to her ladies in waiting.
Aww.
And
She's all, make me lace.
yeah, make me something pretty.
Make me some trims.
So during the Moorish conquest, when it first was brought over, the sailors needed a way to stay busy since they were out at sea for like forever.
Yeah.
And so they would grab some like scrap rope or whatever that was just laying around, and they would just use different knots and create like artwork.
Especially because you could just unravel it. And you'd have like 9 million threads.
So they just would just sit there and knot stuff, and they would make themselves belts and even hammocks. So imagine a hammock.
Come
on a boat.
on now. That's cool.
Yeah, so they would just use different knots, because I mean, think about it, they're sailors, they got to know their knots and stuff.
Exactly.
So they would just use different knots. So Chinese knotting dates back to the Tangan Song Dynasty in 960 to 1279 CE. The knots in China then spread to Korea and Japan. And in China, they were used as good luck charms for Chinese marriages and to ward off evil spirits. Ooh. And decorations made using this Chinese knotting technique were used during the Chinese New Year's festival. And most of these decorations were made using the color red because it's
it.
considered a lucky color in Chinese culture.
Like, I'm remembering now, like they always have pretty tassels at the end of the lanterns and lights, and I'm like,
yeah,
that would also keep
macrame.
Bugs from flying away into the flame too, I bet.
Yeah, so it's all.
I got
macrame.
Goosebumps. I'm such a dork.
Over macrame and Chinese culture, and it's all, once you think about it, you're like,
hashtag art life.
I know. It's like I could picture it.
But the thing is, like, how often do we hear about these things? Even if you have never touched a piece of macrame, I'm sure you've heard the word in your life.
Or seen a piece somewhere.
And so it's so crazy because, like, how many times have we heard of these things, and how many times have we actually went out of our way to look up where it came from?
Yeah,
or where it started. Like, this is brand new.
Where else can you find macrame?
To me.
Yeah. It was kind of new to me too, where it was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I can picture it. Oh, yeah. And so, I'm learning something new every time I research.
I love it.
So, macrame was very popular in the Victorian era. And the craft is actually done by, like, women of all different social classes. So, everything from, like, the modern housewife and the Victorian era to, like, ladies in wait and stuff. Yeah. So women would make pieces such as tablecloths, curtains, bedspreads, and doilies. And
dang, what were they using? Can you imagine if it was like the jute?
I know. Well,
like a blanket.
It's crazy because you can macrame can be different sizes, different thicknesses. So you can make thin doilies just by knotting stuff with.
That's crazy. See, my mind says doilies, and I think of like the tiny crocheted tatting,
crocheted or knitted, or yeah. So they would do little doilies with macrame.
I love it.
The book Sylvia's Book of Macrame Lace in 1882 showed how to make detailed trimmings for clothes. And macrame then faded in popularity. And it didn't come back into popularity until the 1970s. Which,
heck yeah.
So I could picture some macrame stuff in the 70s.
Oh my god, yeah.
People would make like wall hangings, clothing,
the whole window covering.
Yes.
My mom made this really beautiful window decoration in the house that I grew up in because we had like a 4-foot tall by maybe like 8 foot. Oh my god, that'd be huge. 8-inch wide window right next to our front door, and it was like too small to put blinds or anything. So my dad put a little tension rod and she made that, and it covered it like my whole life, and it was so cute.
Yeah. I almost made one for that transition in between my kitchen and laundry room. Yeah, where it's just like this weird opening, and I'm like, oh, maybe it's like a pantry room too. But I was like, oh, maybe I'll macrame some curtains or whatever. I know, and then I remember
it's exactly what I keep thinking of too. It's like, oh my god, I love one of those like hippie
pieces at the very top.
There's no way. Yep, there's no.
I know. I almost got some like a bead curtain or something, but just to like create some separation. But then I lose all that sunlight from those windows. But anyway, so in the 70s, people, would make wall hangings. I have a few wall hangings, clothing accessories, flip flops. I think I actually have a pair of like macrame flip flops. Okay, and then
is it like where you pop out the thong part and put that
you do the pattern of the macrame on the top of the foot,
and you
so it's just like the sole of it, and you just
attach it through,
like just like you thread it through.
No, it's
almost
like over it. I'm sorry, my brain is like, do you do it over it, or you take the whole thing out?
You take the whole, so it's
the
like
knot,
the sole.
Knot pulls up into it. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, I was just trying to remember because I've seen where like you've added on to the thong bit.
So over the top of a regular sandal, you can add macrame on top of that.
Be cute.
But so people would do like sandals, purses. I could picture some purses, some macrame purses. Small jean shorts, once again, bedspreads, tablecloths, draperies, plant hangings, which I have a few plant hangings that I've macrameed, and just like anything you could really imagine. So macrame jewelry was also really popular around the 1970s.
Oh my god. And all the kids listening to Sublime on their skateboards with their macrame twisted necklaces. Yeah, or it had the little hand blown glass like teardrop that would have a mushroom or something inside of it.
Yep.
So, the 90s.
You could put like beads, bones, shells, or whatever. I remember, the one with like it's all macrame knots, and it was like a choker, and it had the little tiny shells that went across the neck.
Oh my god, PacSun in 2000.
So, of course, it started go out of popularity, but now, as we know, it's coming back.
Resurgence.
Yeah.
Thanks, COVID.
Yeah. So not only that, but like, you know, people doing crafts and stuff, like you said, with COVID, but the different styles that are popular now, like the bohemian and natural lifestyle, where it's a lot of like natural cotton or linen fibers and stuff. So people are doing more macrame.
That's very true.
And, you know, you can buy patterns online. You can buy finished pieces online. I've thought about selling it, but I don't like macrame that much. I'm gonna like make it into my job, and it does
be
take
like,
time.
I made this and I really like it, but I got nowhere to put it, so like, let's get rid of it.
Exactly. So, like I said, I've made a few, and I was gonna make Avery a small one, but she ended up, you know, she's got her paintings and stuff. But I was gonna make her another small one of these feather ones for in her room with the colors in her room, but she keeps changing her favorite color, so I just can never.
Sage green and yellow.
Yeah, and it was teal, and no, I'm like, girl, your whole wall's teal because you swore that was your favorite color. Yeah, don't ask a 10 or an 11-year-old what their favorite color is. They're going to change it in 3 months. So, anyways, so yeah, that's pretty much macrame, and I chose it because it's like, well, it kind of goes on my fibers, my fiber journey.
It's so funny because, you know, as we've mentioned before, we do not tell each other the craft, and probably eventually we're gonna like be like, oh, farts, like you thought I was gonna do that.
Like, oh no, did you do that?
But it's funny because my next craft that I have planned already is still going along the line of what I've been doing, and it's so funny, but it's because I don't do fiber art, and I do paper art a lot more, and it just tends to come through this vein, but it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just, honestly, it's just easy for us as we're starting this journey the last few months to do what we know right away.
Yeah, in the beginning. And then we're going to have to collaborate at some point because I am running out of ideas.
I know, that's totally fine. I'll throw some your way.
Yeah.
You can go off my list too, because I told everyone I was going to be doing that, and then I kind of steered away from it. But it's not that it's not interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, that was macrame.
Hey, that wasn't all super short.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It wasn't bad. I mean, I did have a lot to chit chat about because I'm like, well, I did some macrame, like different pieces. I think that's with macrame. It's so diverse. With like crochet, you can do a lot with crochet, but I feel like with macrame, it's a whole bigger like. You can macrame a beanie if you really wanted to.
Because you could crochet and then macrame on your crochet the little tassel-y bits.
Yep, exactly. Pretty. There is one of these blankets that I've made that you can do macrame on the end of it and like tie it off into little like like V's.
I can see it.
Yeah, the little V's on the end with the little tassel-y bits. But I'm like, I got cats and kids.
The finger gesture, the little tassel-y bits.
Yeah,
spirit hands, spirit fingers.
Spirit fingers. Yeah.
See these hands? These are gold.
Yeah, see these hands? They are swollen.
I said gold. You used to say swole.
I almost said swole, but I'm like, that sounds bad.
Yeah. That just means you're like buff as hell.
No, it's my strong hand. It's my strong hand. What? So sorry. Never mind.
We'll talk about it later.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll show you later. Someone's yelling it.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh god. Okay.
All right. Let's shut up because it ain't funny anymore.
I'm not laughing.
No. Okay. So I will preface this by this is going to be a crime against a child.
Okay.
So it's a bummer. But like I said, I kept coming back to it. And it's pretty old.
Oh, okay.
So this is the case of Chrissie Claire Venn. Born July 25th, 1907 in a small town in Tasmania, Australia, to her parents George Venn and Ava. And this crime is going to start, I'm like looking at my notes. This crime starts on February 26th, 1921.
Okay.
So Chrissie's 13 and her mom needs her to go to the town right outside of where they live, North Modden, which is about 3 miles away. Which again, for us, we're like, holy crap, she's got to walk 3 miles to go to the little store. But, you know, so she leaves at about 5 p.m. This is a normal thing she does. I know, right? 5
p.m.
5?
I thought you were going to say like
February. 5 like,
oh.
Wait a minute. February over there, opposite. So it's not dark.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like spring.
Yeah. So 5 in the morning it would be dark. 5 p.m. it would be like
It's not that dark. Yeah,
Yeah.
opposite seasons. Okay, so she leaves, and she leaves her house on Allison Road, and she's going down. This is a normal route that she takes, and about 7 p.m. she should be on her way back.
Okay.
And she's not. So her mom has gotten concerned, and she starts walking down the road that they live on again, Allison Road. She's walking down. She's thinking, well, like, she'll probably I'm going to run into her. Yeah, exactly. If she's on her way, maybe she saw someone, so she's going to be meeting her. So she walks down, nothing. She can't find her. She keeps going down the road. She goes all the way into town. Nobody has seen anything. So the following morning, she goes to police. And the town immediately starts looking for her every single day. And 2 sons of a well-respected farmer, the farmer's name is John Herbst, they say that they heard a single high-pitched scream in the woods the night before while they were working in their dad's field, but that, you know, they were busy working and they didn't hear anything after that would have been any cause for concern, so they didn't continue to go, like, investigate it. They just kept working.
Okay.
So, the search party has been looking for a few days, and they are going to start searching this area that has been like leveled by burning right next to where John Herbst's farm is. They're searching around. These tree stumps have holes, and the kids tend to play around that area. So they come up next to a 9-foot tall burnt out tree stump that has a 16-inch hole in the side of it, like probably where a tree limb had fallen, and, you know. And when they look inside, they see Chrissie's body. It's shoved face down. So what they're seeing is like the back part of her. And this is just about a half mile from her home.
So she didn't even make it far.
Not in the area very close to that farm. So that's how the boys had heard a scream. When they removed her body, underneath her was the little basket she was carrying to bring home whatever she had. She had taken, obviously, like a drink with her. So there was a bottle, the bottle cap, her handkerchief, and her underwear is like underneath. In the stump. Like they threw all the stuff in and then put her
in there. Oh, wow.
Pretty forcibly, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, really, a 16-inch hole? I'm like holding up my hands. That's not that big. No. That's barely at shoulders. So that would be a snug place that they wouldn't see. I mean, even in my mind, I'm like, the happenstance of a 9-foot tall tree stump. And it seemed like it was like midway. So someone was able to lift. Not like super high, but like, lift up and put in, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
So what was missing from her was the money that her mom gave her. So that was interesting because it wasn't even that much, but it was still gone.
Yeah.
Twisted around her neck was about a 1-foot long piece of hay baling wire. So for anyone who doesn't know, a little thinner than like a wire clothing hanger, like that. Twistable, but pretty solid. A piece of her dress had been ripped off and was stuffed down her throat. And later that they did find that was the cause of her death, was the suffocation.
Oh my God.
And the coroner findings did show that she was sexually assaulted. But her body also showed that she put up a really good fight. And she defended herself quite a lot, and she had those kinds of defensive wounds from fighting. And what the coroner was pretty sure of was that the wire that was around her neck was used to like drag her, transport her. So like not even
move
pick her up.
Yeah.
So to just grab her and probably hoist her
but I'm thinking,
to try
like,
to
that's such
help.
a thin,
right? I know it's very interesting, but so I'm guessing that must have been marks of that sort of nature around her neck that they were able to notice. The scene started about 36 feet or about 11 meters from the tree stump. And so the signs of that was like the, debris, signs of a struggle, stuff moved out of, like, kicked around, and there was a pile of evidence. It was crazy. There was a whole bunch.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
There was some safety pins, a bloody stick, a piece of bloody cloth, the extra pieces of the baling wire. They are pretty sure that the fabric that what had blood on it was a sanitary napkin of hers.
Okay.
Which unfortunately also plays into the role of her undergarments probably being forcefully taken. And there was a clump of her hair.
Okay.
That was also found. The pieces of wire they found out came from the gate on the furthest edge of the Herbst farm.
Oh, okay.
And so, because it was very close.
That makes sense. Like your surrounding, what's available in your surrounding area.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's very close. Police zone in on a local farmhand whose name is George William King. Her father's name is also George, but I'm sorry, I meant to say that he is not alive at this point in her life. But I'm going to talk about that a little later. But it's just her and her mom.
Okay.
And so, because I don't mention her father's name anymore till the very end of just some like afterthoughts I have, this, I'll just refer to him as George. George William King is 36. He's married and he's a father. And he does not work on the Herbst farm. But the reason they zone in on him is because he knew Chrissie and her mom. He was friends with her mom. And he had visited their house on several times. And obviously the family was comfortable with him in the eyes of the town because he would stay and hang out, dinner, leave, not super late into the evening or anything, but hang out, have dinner, and then leave. What people were saying around town was that she was afraid of him. And that if she would see him coming, she would run and hide to get away from him. But he said he had no idea why she would feel that way. They never had any issues or any negative interactions.
Gave off a vibe or something.
Right.
That's
sure.
all it takes sometimes.
And let me tell you, 98% of the time, your intuition is right.
Absolutely.
And so George King, he was actually part of her search party. But he wasn't present when they found her body. And the search party had also told police that he had like really wounded hands. There was like deep scratches and cuts, and one of them was like infected.
Oh, really?
And he said that
how do you explain that? But if you're a farmhand, maybe.
Exactly. So he was also a farmhand, and he said that, but here's where it gets a little wonky.
Okay.
He says his hands were wounded from getting hurt in like a log, like searching in the holes of logs during the search. But then he also changes the possibility of how he hurt himself by saying like, oh, well, maybe it could have been play fighting with my wife. Okay. What is she doing?
Play fighting.
She's like stabbing you in the hands and biting you in the hands or something. They mentioned the wound on his hand as being festering. So
it had been there for a little while.
It had to have been there for at least a few days. And the reality is, if you're working on a farm and you hurt yourself getting dirty or gross, you know that you're going to go clean it.
Yeah, like, right away.
But like that's fingernail scratches, bite scratches, injuries in the forest when you are hiding a body, who knows?
Yeah, that's like when we're working outside, or like when the rooster attacked me.
I know
I'm
what
immediately
hurt me.
Like, yeah.
And like, look, I'm anemic and so are you, and we get mystery bruises all the time. But a wound like that, I'm going to remember. I have a scar right now on my thumb, and I was like, that's when my lizard bit me 4 years ago. Like, you know, wounds like that. You're not, when the police are investigating you, you're going to know.
Exactly.
So it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So on March 6th, George got an anonymous letter, and it's quoted as saying, "Take care. I saw you murder Chrissie Venn, and if you don't confess, I am going to tell the police." Now, the interesting thought is in my head, I'm like, why don't you just tell the police then?
Yeah, why do you give him the warning?
Why are you doing this?
Giving him a warning that you're going to say something.
Yeah. And along with the handwritten letter, it had what they called a crude drawing of like a little guy hung in a hangman's gallows, like hung by his neck. George goes to the police and he tells them, like, you need to find the author that did this. You know, it's not true. He's making a big stink about it. And he insists that it was one of the Herbst boys.
Oh, okay.
So, at this point, he is arrested because he is who they have on their radar.
Yeah.
So he's arrested at this point, and on March 26th, during the coroner's inquest, which is just a formal court hearing for them to completely go through how the person died, had to help determine how that happened. So Detective Harmon, he was the head detective of this case, said that that they never found the author of the note, but that it had to have been written by a woman.
Oh.
So I found that kind of interesting, and I did a little bit of digging, and handwriting was actually very gendered throughout that time frame.
Really? Like
yes.
typical, but like obvious? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So just like handwriting analysis experts now, it was pretty common. Like a maid would write a certain way. They had their own shorthand. You know, your child writes a certain way that they're being taught. A woman of society writes nicer because she's taught to. So it's different. So he was positive it was written by a woman.
Well, I'll tell you what, you can tell if I wrote it or Jack wrote it. It's pretty, or if Troy wrote it.
I know
or if
Kurt's
Avery
handwriting too, because I've memorized it, but my handwriting is so terrible that I really I wonder if it's like hearing our own voices, because
like it's
no
not.
one's ever told me it was bad, but I look at it and I'm just like, oh,
that's how I feel.
It's chicken scratch.
No, Jack's is chicken scratch. No, Troy's is chicken scratch. That kid is going to be 16 and I can't even read his handwriting.
He's
still learning.
He's still learning. Yeah. They do so much work on the computer. I know, swear.
It's like, write this out. They're like, how do I write?
I'm telling you.
Okay. So it was obvious to.
Yeah,
to
that's what he said.
Okay.
That it was written by a woman.
Okay.
So, George has been arrested for the willful murder of Chrissie, and his trial started on August 14th and promptly ended on August 21st.
Oh, okay.
Found not guilty and acquitted of all of the charges.
Oh, okay.
Immediately after this, the head detective, Harmon, was fired for incompetence. Apparently, what took place was he was so dead set on it being George that he dismissed and didn't even interview other people that were people of interest and possibly suspects in this case.
Yep. I hate it when that happens.
So, because of the only thing was the wounds on his hands, that he was dumb and couldn't remember. Maybe he was drunk and didn't want to say. Who knows?
Yeah.
But there wasn't enough evidence. There was nothing that tied to him.
Other than scratches.
Other than these nasty wounds. Scratches, you know. And because this was so long ago, there are the newspaper articles are the photos that I will have for the Instagram. Like, that's what I'm going to post up. But it's hard to find the information. So it doesn't say whether George's wife corroborated, like, yeah, I saw him come home from the farm beat up, or I bit him, or whatever, you know. It doesn't say, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But then next, the coroner's reputation was ruined forever. He never really recovered from that trial, because during the court proceedings, he changed his findings so many times. To then also, he lost evidence. He didn't record evidence. And apparently he did not collect evidence that they needed from the scene at the time.
What?
Yep. So he never came from that. Yeah, he never came back from that with his career. And so at this point, because they fudged it so bad, they all realized that it was his fault. And it made it almost impossible to be able to charge anyone else after that. And the case remained unsolved.
Really?
Yes. So recently, internet people searching around, you know how we do, they went and they found newspaper clippings. I'm guessing the microfiche of old libraries, maybe locals. They found newspaper clippings that truly just tell the saddest story, because while it's never mentioned during her court case, she was sexually assaulted 3 years before her death at 10 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And her accused was also acquitted.
What?
So
This poor girl.
I find it so interesting because I'm like, did you interview him?
Exactly. Did he come back?
What is going on? Yeah, like what is happening? So like her whole life was just crap.
Yeah.
And her mom. Now here's another weird part, and then we're going to get to some strange coincidence that's just cuckoo.
Okay.
Her mom got married at the age of 24 and her dad was only 18. They also had a son that was never mentioned. Like there's like not enough in any newspaper clippings. What if he was I believe a year or so younger than Chrissie was. So here's where it gets weird. Supposedly during this story, the reason why I was like, well, it says her dad is dead, because at the time of her murder, Chrissie's father was not present. Oh. He's not around. He hasn't been around most of their life, and her mom says that he's dead.
Okay, so he might not be dead.
He might not be dead, but nobody really knows, because she said that her husband George died at sea. I'm sorry, I have to go back now because it's like in 2000 in 1917. So the year that poor Chrissie was sexually assaulted the first time is supposedly the year that her mom says that her dad drowned and died. But then her mom also says that in 1902 is when he died. But in 1902, that would have made her dad only 13 years old.
Oh, okay.
So this woman is just cuckoo.
Yeah.
So here is the horrible thing. This is where my mind goes. I still think it was George, because I have a feeling her mom and George were having a thing, and her mom obviously does not seem completely mentally well.
Yeah.
And what if he did do it and she just didn't know, or like he did it and she was just too naive to want to blame him.
Yeah, unfortunately that does happen with a lot of sexual assault in families and stuff.
Also, this is where my brain goes. As much as I think it may have been George, I think it was one of the Herbst boys.
You do?
I do. I think it was one of the Herbst boys, because it would make sense. It did not say how old they were, but they were like, oh yeah, we heard one. That's so specific. Like we heard one scream, but then we didn't go check. We were busy. A grown man wouldn't need wire to drag a 13-year-old's body.
True.
She was little. Especially back then, children were much more petite. And so a grown man, a farmhand, is not going to need wire to drag someone to haul them somewhere. The note was written in a woman's handwriting, who could also write very feminine. A boy. A boy.
Not Troy.
Or was it his mom? Or her mom.
Her mom, yeah.
Her mom, like making him confess so she wasn't complicit to the crime that he committed.
Or maybe it was like a ruse of like, hey, I'm going to write this.
Maybe
and you're
he had his wife do
that
it.
You got
right.
it.
It's just so crazy. So here is something else, totally coincidental, but weird.
Okay.
2 days before this is going to get a little weird. I'm going to have to word it right, because even writing it, I was like, that doesn't seem right. Okay. Her dad's cousin, his name is James. James' wife, 2 days before Chrissie's murder, killed herself.
Oh.
So his cousin's wife killed herself. She was found drowned, and in her purse was a letter to farmer John Herbst.
Okay.
And part of it read, quote, "Don't go to Jim. He's in trouble. Do what you can to comfort him. I must go."
What?
So I'm like, did her dad's cousin kill her, sexually assault her, and kill her? And that's literally it. I literally wrote here, the world's craziest coincidence or something else. It's so weird.
It could be okay. Because that's the thing with the coincidence, is it sometimes, but very rarely, it is just a coincidence. But more times than not, it's connected. And I know that you can't bank on a coincidence or the connection.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, these things have to be connected, because a lot of times they probably aren't.
No.
And that's where then, like, detectives or whatever get all zoned in on one person, and it's not that person because of all these other maybe one or two coincidences. But it's like you got to look into it, but don't.
Another
Connected.
Another letter that was found was addressed to Chrissie's mom from her. I'm so sorry. I can't remember. The cousin's wife.
Okay.
Yeah, I had her name. I'm sorry. And she put in her will to give everything to Chrissie's mom.
What?
Yeah, I'm telling you. So I'm sorry to leave everybody hanging, and I know it was heartbreaking, but I couldn't leave it because there was so many questions. The unsolved ones are the crappiest, but somebody knows something. It's one of those people, I think. And the other part that I messed up.
Where were you in the early 1900s? Let us know.
The part that I wanted to, I'm trying to find it.
That's why I haven't done any like unsolved ones lately, because I'm like, man, I hate them, and
sucks.
it's like
I do like talking about like what we
the
think,
theories and stuff,
because I'm like, oh, it's killing me, but it is really hard and it's very sad. But again, at the same time, it said that her murder made nationwide newspaper headings, and then pretty much by the end of the year, now we're talking like this went through and it happened so fast, and so. The trial ended August 21st, and they said by the end of the year, pretty much she was forgotten about.
That's sad.
And so it's sad. And so I at the same time, I'm kind of like, well, I'm sorry, Chrissy.
Well, we're talking about you.
And so
I'm
you're
just
not going to get
thinking of
forgotten.
that young girl that's, just going on her 3-mile walk to the store. And that's so sad. Wow. Well, that was good. You did really good. And now I'm going to be thinking about that. And we're going to be talking. We're going to be talking about our theories. My brain.
I still think it was one of those boys.
Probably.
I think it was one of the boys, and their mom probably didn't like George or didn't like his wife or something, and just wanted to ruin his life. Who knows? And I hate it.
I know. Well,
and I'm having trouble, so don't quote me, but I swear I found an article that was literally like either Farmer Herbst or George became like a really prominent figure in politics later. I'm gonna find it. I'll tell you if I was wrong. I will update if I was wrong, but I swear that I read something and he became like I think something that was the equivalent of like a governor. One of them did. Somebody did. I'm almost positive. And I was just like, what?
That would be interesting. Yeah.
I'm thinking it's probably the farmer. I think it was the farmer because he was already a really respected dude.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was the farmer and not George King. But still, to be tied to all of that, that's kind of interesting.
I wonder how much more. I know we're just like amateur like researchers and stuff, but I wonder how much more information we would be able to find if we had like an ancestry like subscription or whatever, and we can actually trace like the census records and stuff,
and with like have more names that like a lot of the times like what is her brother's name, where was he,
how old was he, when was he born,
right?
What did he
because
do for
the
a living?
thing
Where
is,
was he living?
Again, it sounds terrible, but siblings kill too.
Yep.
What if it was the brother and the mom wrote the note to cover it up?
Yeah,
because my brain just keeps going back to the proof was that the wire around her neck was used to haul her.
Yeah,
a grown man doesn't need to do that.
A woman doesn't have to, but she was sexually assaulted though.
Exactly. So I'm like, I don't think so. I know, like a woman
but
seriously,
and a man,
I'm just
because that's
so,
happened.
Of course, it has. It's disgusting, but it totally has. Women are just as
could have
bad.
just been a boy,
and that's what I think.
Yeah,
I'm thinking. I was
so
like,
too.
what if it was her brother?
Or
what if it? Because I'm pretty sure what I had read, it was like they had a son, but he was never mentioned. But it was like Chrissy was born, and then back then they were pretty back to back.
Yeah.
So Chrissy was born, and then her brother was born. So let's say 12. That's not out of the realm of possibilities. Gross as that is. So my theory is somebody younger, and that George was just an idiot, and he could have done it. What if it was him and one of the farm boys? Like, gross. They didn't have the wherewithal to be able to be like, oh, it was multiple people. It's awful. Yeah. I hate it. I'm sorry.
my head hurts. As Lily said earlier, my brain hurts. I'm like, well, that's because you cried for 30 minutes having a meltdown
over not being able to help with groceries.
Yeah, she couldn't help with my groceries, and
I'm still trying to finish my Instacart.
Well, that was really interesting, and I'm going to be thinking about that. And
for the rest of my life.
I won't do an unsolved next week. I'll do a solve so
we all have closure.
Yeah.
Seriously, I'm sorry.
It's okay. That was good. Sad but good. Okay, well, with that, stay crafty
And not crying me.
Bye.